Right, so news just coming in, and we'll show you the pictures very soon. Raging fire, we're told, a Thai warehouse. You can see on your screens now, near Abossey in Accra, is on fire at the moment. We're told that several containers have been destroyed there. The cause of the fire is not immediately known, but as I told you, property running to thousands of Ghana cities are up in flames at the moment. The Ghana National Fire Service is struggling hard to put out the fire. Now, eyewitnesses said the fire began around 7 p.m. from a small portion of the open warehouse with at least 20 containers. The fire service responded to distress calls with about 3 tankers. Soon, I'll get some people who saw the fire to speak to you because they were there. You can see it on your screens how dangerous it was. And of course, the fire service guys were there. We're told they battling hard to keep the fire under control. And let's quickly listen to one of them.
When I was calling them, the number was not going. I called the police. It was not going. So I have to call the director of fire service that there is a fire at Abossey. Then he said he would deploy his men to come.
Like, what we hear from almost obi charging phone so be she ties. Remember the containers, everyone say be at 4 or 5 now sure.
You have seen there, they are all filled with lorry ties. And you can see getting access to them is difficult. So we are trying to break some of them. We are trying to ensure that the fire do not get to other areas. That is a strategy that we put in place now to prevent the fire from spreading to other areas, and also to see if we'll be able to open one of them and then be able to reduce the intensity of the fire. That is all that we are doing for now. Access is also a problem. Breaking in is also because those containers are locked. They don't even have the key. So all that we are doing is to have our breaking tools, and then it is not easy getting access to those one and do it. So it will be difficult for anybody to say how long it will take.
Called for fire officers to douse the inferno, and residents also tried hard to help the process to put out the fire. Now, we're told the fire officers called for more more water when 3 tankers could not put off the fire completely. We'll certainly get you more update on that. Right, so let's stay on this issue because it's been in the media over the weekend and it's starting the week. Now, the Ringway Assemblies of God Church in Accra here is teaming up with the national security to install scanners at the doors of the church. The reason is that a man suspected to be wielding a gun was arrested in the church. Ostensibly, that's a church where the president, his family, and the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana worships. Perhaps the national security is sensing danger. Kamala Kruche has this.
President John Mahama held leadership, the Chief Justice and other senior servicemen of the security services worship at the Ringway Assemblies of God Church. An unknown gunman wielding a pistol entered the church on Sunday. His intentions are known. The resident pastor, Reverend Ernest Kweje, recounts what happened.
Yesterday, in the course of my preaching, around about 8:45, I was preaching and I saw some people like ushering a person out. Not knowing, the people sitting close by had suspected a visitor who was jittering and shaking, so they suspected something, a foul deal. So they had to quickly go and inform our security people in this church. So one policeman came for him, took him outside, and after searching him, they got to know that there was a pistol on him. So in actual fact, it didn't create any scene. Even we in the church premises most of them didn't notice what was happening. Unless the people that were outside under the tent, they got to know that the man had been handcuffed and was taken to the cantonment police station, and from there the national security and the BNI took over.
Service was not interrupted, the church says. TV3 broke the story of a 36-year-old man who was arrested with a pistol at the Ringway Assemblies of God Church. The church, together with national security, are reviewing the security checks at the church premises. Do you think it's brought to bear the kind of security arrangements you have in place?
Our security is okay, but the only thing is that we have to beef up the security by maybe using a metal scanner and all those kind of things. We have to introduce them to our service nowadays.
The suspect is still in BNI custody, assisting in investigations.
Okay, so the suspect is assisted BNI investigations. But let me speak to the head of research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Kwesi Enin. He says, join me on phone. Dr. Enin, I'm grateful you stayed there to be part of the show tonight.
Well, but please get my title right. I'm the Director of the Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research.
Right. Director of the Faculty of Academic Affairs, Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Center. Thanks so much for the corruption. So let's start from here. So we should see it as dangerous. A man arrested the church where the president worships. It is dangerous.
Well, it's an unacceptable slip of or breach of the security preparations and the protection that the president and the chief justice needs. You see, when you have the first and the third most powerful people in the country worshiping in a particular area, that particular building and the surroundings, under any one point in time, is a high-profile security area.
Right.
And particularly the circumstances under which that particular building is used means that there must always be some presence of sorts. Even if not 24-hour surveillance, every time that people are entering that church, precisely because of the people who go there, the church should be swept, or they should look for telltale signs if people have hidden something in there, or somebody from the agency should be there first to ensure that as people enter, so they look at them, profile them a little bit, and when people are suspicious, they can pat them down very discreetly. So I think this is a very major breach, but it is not just because of this incident. If you look at other developments that have occurred in the past of weeks, the Nayeli case, going through the VVIP, of which the security cameras didn't work, the itemizers in the scanner did not work, and then you look at the demonstrations post the destruction of so-called buildings in waterways, and that taking the security agencies by surprise, and parts of Accra locked down violent demonstrations, and then the things on the placards that people wrote. And then when you add this to it, it looks to me as if we need better training, and then those who need to protect the president, and by extension the people of this country, must be sitting up and doing a much better job.
So you faulting a whole security system as far as the presidency is concerned?
Well, the presidency is just one of critical people and institutions, who need the protection. I mean, if we take the airport case, that was a major breach. Unfortunately, it was so major and so well orchestrated that we didn't even get evidence to prosecute anybody. Now, if we add that to the people who demonstrated a couple of weeks ago in Accra, and all the placards bearing appeals to Boko Haram, the threat that Boko Haram will come here, and I'm wondering, have some of these people been caught? Or have they been picked up and interrogated? But even more disturbingly, when we come back to this man, who is he? Who are his networks? Who are the people he's been talking to for the past 3 months?
Right.
Has the gun been used before? When was the last time it was used? Who registered it? Is it a local gun? Is it an imported gun? So there are lots of loose ends that we've got to understand, and we've got to make sure that we get it under control very quickly.
For instance, in the case of the airport, that scandal that you're talking about, it is possible that some people might have been involved. In this case, the man was in the church there. Perhaps he went there alone. But clearly, at the airport, you could see some people.
No, I think you are making some extremely dangerous assumptions. The man may have been in the church alone, but may not have acted alone.
Not acted alone, but he might have gotten the entrance because it is easy to just walk through into a church. The airport.
It should not happen. And that is what I started with. Where the president worships, and where the chief justice worships, where the speaker of parliament worships, where the vice president worships, are not ordinary places of worship.
Right.
So that if we know that this is where the president worships, you see, at every one point in time, that place must be secured. Or we must ensure that whether the president is coming to church or not, there is somebody who, in conjunction with the priest, allows a security agent, highly trained, to be in that church as the first person. Okay, profiling those who enter, looking under the pews, checking all the other places to ensure that somebody has not secreted a weapon, an offensive weapon. So what I'm talking about is that this is such a fundamental breach.
Right.
And the statements that we are getting are even making us more confused. Who is this character? What are his networks? When was that gun last used? Does the man have traces of gunpowder on his fingernails? Okay, so these are loose questions that we should be getting answers to very quickly, so that these important personalities are not exposed to unnecessary threats. Because, you see, we can't afford to divert their attention from the job that we have voted them into power to do. And this is such an unnecessary diversion. And somebody must be giving us the answers, and damn quickly.
What do you make of the fact that you are asking for answers, but it looks like those in charge of investigations are simply not ready to let out these answers?
Parliament must haul them in. You see, because the president's security is a collective interest of Ghanaians.
Right.
Securocrats cannot and must not keep such basic information to themselves, because, you see, the impression it creates is that they are trying to cover up. And I think Fritz Bafo, as chair of the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Interior,
let me cut in.
Yes.
Dr. Ning, sorry, I have to cut in, but are they trying to cover up because let's make assumptions. Are they trying to cover up because they want to get to the bottom of it and come out, or you think they want to cover up because there's something fishy?
I mean, it can be both things. All I'm saying, from where I sit, and from having observed their performances in similar instances, is that this is not just a one-off. I mean, there have been instances where some important person ought to be in place X.
Right.
And you can actually go there 2-3 hours before the person arrives, and there's nobody. So this is not just a one-off incident. Far from it. Very far from it.
Let me pick your brains on this.
Yeah.
We have heard in the past what we have heard could be true, they could be untrue, but we have heard in the past that former President Rawlings, for instance, could drive around Accra alone in a car.
I'm not interested. I was not in the country, and that is not what is the norm.
Right.
So
exactly where I was going.
Presidential security is not for the president to determine. The president's interest. If President Rawlings wanted to drive around, he can drive around, either on a motorbike, on a tractor, but there should be people around there who are protecting him. Okay, the essence of the president touching flesh and squeezing flesh is that is his job. Okay, the securocrat's job is to ensure that there's a cordon around him And there are people in the crowd, okay, who are watching out for the president so he can go shaking hands and kissing babies.
Right.
Okay, so if they cannot protect the president and they cannot ensure that he can go about his duties, then somebody has failed somewhere.
You've been around for some time. Do a quick assessment. You saw Professor Mills. You've seen John Mahama. How do you assess the level of our security as far as our presidency is concerned?
Well, I think there's more rhetoric than substance. The rhetoric about protection is good, but I've given you a couple of examples. I think the substance leaves much to be desired.
So
this is a very classic case of where I think we've allowed an uncomfortable breach and very fundamental basic questions that ought to be put into the public domain to assure us and reassure us. Those pieces of information are not coming, and I think, it's just not right.
If you sit at the head of the president's security, would you fire some heads, or perhaps you yourself will want to get out from there because you have caused a breach?
Well, there's no culture in this country for people resigning. People have to be sacked.
But you?
I, as Kweseni?
Yes.
Oh, I'll take my little portfolio and then come home because I failed the president and the people of Ghana. But I don't expect this to happen because this is not part of our political culture and it's not part of our professional culture. So, you guys in the media will also make a lot of noise. 2-3 days later, you will move on to something else. So probably if I were head of presidential detail, I will create a diversionary tactic. All the media will go chase that news story, and I'll be a free man. Yeah. So, no heads are going to roll, although it ought to roll.
And you won't ask that hairs to roll.
Pardon?
You won't call for hairs to roll as far as the president's security is concerned.
That's not my job. I'll write a fine academic article about it. Probably it will help me to get promotion, but it's not my job to ask for somebody's head to be rolled. I think somebody's head must roll. Whose head must roll, I don't know. But certainly somebody should have some very sleepless nights the next couple of days.
Dr. Kwesi Annan, kindly, you said you're the head of academic research. Just correct me before I put that out wrong again. I've lost Dr. Kwesi Annan. He's with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in the Faculty of Academic Affairs of a center. We'll try and see if we can get more of that. But, of course, that's the news there. Dr. Enin insisting that, we don't have that culture here, but, of course, heads should have rolled. That's how we're wrapping up the bigger now. If you missed it, don't forget that you can go to TV3network.com. You can watch a playback